In the biggest, browniest, muddiest river in Africa, two crocodiles lay with their heads just above the water. One of the crocodiles was enormous. The other was not so big. "Do you know what I would like for my lunch today?" the enormous crocodile asked. "No," the not so big one said. "What?" The enormous crocodile grinned, showing hundreds and hundreds of sharp white teeth. "For my lunch today," he said, "I would like a nice, juicy little child." "I never eat children," the not so big one said. "Only fish." "Oh, oh, 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 oh!" cried the enormous crocodile. "I will bet if you saw a fat, juicy little child paddling in the water over there at this very moment, you had gulped me up in one gulp." "No, I wouldn't," the not so big one said. "Children are tough and chewy. They're tough and chewy and nasty and bitter." "Tough and chewy?" cried the enormous crocodile. "Nasty and bitter? What awful Tommy rot you talk! They are juicy and yummy." "They taste so bitter," the not so big one said. "You have to cover them with sugar before you can eat them." "Children are bigger than fish," said the enormous crocodile. "You get bigger helpings." "You are greedy. You know," the not so big one said. "You're the greediest croc in the whole river." "I'm the bravest croc in the whole river," said the enormous crocodile. "I am the only one who dares to leave the water and go through the jungle to the town to look for the little children to eat." "You have only done that once," snorted the not so big one. "And what happened then?" "They all saw you coming and ran away." "Ah, but today when I go, they won't see me at all," said the enormous crocodile. "Of course they will see you," the not so big one said. "You're so enormous and ugly. They will see you from miles away." The enormous crocodile grinned again, and his terrible sharp teeth sparkled like knives in the sun. "Nobody will see me," he said, "because this time I have thought up secret plans and clever tricks." "Clever tricks?" cried the not so big one. "You have never done anything clever in your whole life. You are the stupidest croc in the whole wide river." "I'm the cleverest croc in the whole river," the enormous crocodile answered. "And for my lunch today, I shall feast upon a fat, juicy little child while you lie here in river feeling hungry. Goodbye." The enormous crocodile swam to the side of a river and crawled out of the water. A gigantic creature was standing in the slimy, oozy mud on the river bank. It was Humpy Rumpy the hippopotamus. "Hello, hello," said the Humpy Rumpy. "Where on earth are you off to at this time of day?" "I have secret plans and clever tricks," said the crocodile. "Oh dear," said Humpy Rumpy. "I will bet you are going to do something horrid today." The enormous crocodile grinned at Humpy Rumpy and said, "I am going to fill my hungry, empty tummy with something yummy, 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 yummy." "What's so yummy?" asked Humpy Rumpy. "Try to guess," said the crocodile. "It's something that walks on two legs." "You don't mean," started Humpy Rumpy. "You don't really mean you are going to eat a little child?" "Of course I am," said the crocodile. "Oh, you horrid, greedy, scrumptious brute!" cried Humpy Dumpy. "I hope you get caught and cooked and turned into crocodile soup." The enormous crocodile laughed out loud and at Humpy Dumpy. Then he waddled off into the jungle. Inside the jungle, he met Trunky the elephant. Trunky was nibbling leaves from the top of a tall tree. and he didn't notice the crocodile at first. So the crocodile bit him on the leg. Ow! Said the trunky in his big, deep voice. Who did that? Oh, it's you! Is it you, beastly crocodile? Why don't you go back to the big, brown, muddy, puddy river where you belong? I have secret plans and clever tricks, said the crocodile. You mean you have got nasty plans and nasty tricks, said Trunky. You have never done anything nice in your whole wide life. The enormous crocodile grinned up at Trunky and said, I am off to find a yummy child for my lunch. Keep listening and you will hear the bones go crunch, crunch, crunch. Oh, you wicked beast, cried Trunky. Oh, you foul and filthy fiend. I hope you get squashed and squished and squizzled and boiled up into crocodile stew. The enormous crocodile again laughed out loud and disappeared in the thick jungle. A bit farther on, he met Mugglewump the monkey. Mugglewump was sitting in the tree eating nuts. Hello, Croaky, said Mugglewump. What are you up to now? I have secret plans and clever tricks, said the crocodile. Would you like some nuts? Asked Mugglewump. I have better things to eat than enough, sniffed the crocodile. I don't think there was anything better than nuts, said Mugglewump. Ha 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 ha, said the enormous crocodile. The sort of thing that I am going to eat have fingers, toenails, arms and legs and feet. Mugglewump went pale and began to shake all over. You aren't really going to gobble up a little child, are you? He said. Of course I am, said the crocodile, clothes and all. They taste better with the clothes on. Oh, you horrid, hoggish croak, cried Mugglewump. You slimy, creepy creature. I hope the buttons and buckles all stick in your throat and choke you to death. The crocodile grinned again up at Mugglewump and said, I eat monkeys too. And quick as flash, with one bite of his huge jaw, he bit through the tree that Mugglewump was sitting in, and down it came. But just in time, Mugglewump jumped into the next tree and swung away through the branches. A bit further on, the enormous crocodile met the roly-poly bird. The roly-poly bird was building a beautiful nest in an orange tree. Hello there, enormous crocodile, sang the roly-poly bird. We don't often see you up here in the jungle. Ah, said the crocodile. I have secret plans and clever tricks. I hope it's not something nasty, sang the roly-poly bird again. Nasty? Ha 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 ha, cried the crocodile. Of course it's not nasty. It's delicious. It's luscious. It's super. It's mushious. It's duper. It's better than rotten old fish. You mash it and munch it. You chew it and crunch it. It's lovely to hear it go squish, squish, squish. It must be berries, sang the roly-poly bird. Berries are my favorite fruit in the world. Raspberries, perhaps, or could it be strawberries? The enormous crocodile laughed so much his teeth rattled together like pennies in a piggy bank. Crocodiles don't eat berries, he said. We eat little boys and girls, and sometimes, he continued, we also eat the roly-poly birds as well. Very quickly, the crocodile reached up and snapped his jaws at the roly-poly bird. He just missed the birds, but he managed to catch hold of the long, beautiful feathers in its tail. The roly-poly bird gave a shriek of terror and shot up straight up into the air, leaving its tail feathers behind in the enormous crocodile's mouth. At last, the enormous crocodile came out of the other side of the jungle in the sunshine. He could see that his town was not too far away. The enormous crocodile crept over to the place where there were lots, and he knew that children from the town often came here looking for coconuts. The trees were too tall for them to climb, but there were always some coconuts on the ground that had fallen down. The enormous crocodile quickly collected all the coconuts that were lying on the ground. He also gathered together several fallen branches. Now for clever trick number 1. He whispered to himself, "It won't be long before I am eating my first part of the lunch." "Ho ho ho," he said, talking aloud. And "ho ho," he said. He took all coconut branches and held them between his teeth. He grabbed the coconut in a front paws. Then he stood straight up in the air, balancing himself on his tail. He had arranged the branches and the coconut so cleverly, that he now looked exactly like a small coconut tree standing among all the big coconut trees. Soon, 2 children came along. They were brother and sister. The boy was called Toto. His sister was Mary. They walked around looking for fallen coconuts, but they couldn't find any because the enormous crocodile had gathered them all up. "Oh, look," cried Toto. "The tree over there is much smaller than the others, and it's full of coconuts and coconuts. I think I could climb that one quite easily if you help me up the first part." Toto and Mary ran up. The enormous crocodile peered through the branches, watching them as they came closer and closer and closer. He licked his lips. He began to dribble with excitement. Suddenly there was a tremendous whooshing noise. It was Humpy Dumpy, the hippopotamus. He came crashing and snorting out of the jungle. His head was down low, and he was galloping at a terrific speed. "Look out, Toto!" shouted Humpy Dumpy from a distance. "Look out, Mary! That's not a coconut tree. It's an enormous crocodile, and he wants to eat you up." Humpy Dumpy charged straight at the enormous crocodile. Then he caught back him with his giant head and sent him tumbling and skidding over the ground. "Owie!" cried the crocodile. "Help! Stop! Where am I?" Toto and Mary ran back to the town as fast as they could on their little legs. But crocodiles are tough. It is difficult for even a hippopotamus to hurt them. The enormous crocodile picked himself up and crept toward the place where the children's playground was. "Now for clever trick number 2, he said to himself. "This one is certain to work." There were no children in the playground at that moment. They were all in school. The enormous crocodile found a big log and placed it in the middle of the playground. Then he lay across the log and tucked in his feet so that he looked almost exactly like a seesaw. When school was over, the children came all running into the playground. "Oh, look," they cried. "We have got a new seesaw." They all crowded around the enormous crocodile, shouting with excitement, thinking that it was a seesaw. "I will go first." "I will get to the other end." "I want to go first." "So do I." "So do I." Then a girl who was older than the others said, "It's rather funny, knobbly sort of seesaw, isn't it? Do you think it will be safe to sit on?" "Of course it will. Of course it will. It looks strong as anything. The enormous crocodile opened one eye just a tiny bit and watched the children who were crowding around him. Soon he thought, "One of them is going to sit on my head, then I will give a jerk and a snap, and after it will be yum, yum, yum." At that moment there was a flash of brown, and something jumped on the playground and hopped up on the top of the swings. It was Mugglebump the monkey. "Run! Run!" Mugglebump shouted to the children. "All of you run, 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 run! That's not a seesaw. It's an enormous crocodile, and he wants to eat you all up." The children screamed and ran for their lives. Mugglebump disappeared back into the jungle and the enormous crocodile was left all alone in the playground. He cursed the monkey and waddled back into the bushes to hide. I am getting hungrier and hungrier, he said in a fury. I shall have at least eat 4 fat children now before I am full up. The enormous crocodile crept around the edge of the town, taking great care not to be seen. He came to the place where they were getting ready to have a fair. There were slides and swing and dojemka and people selling popcorn and cotton candy. There was also a very big merry-go-round. The merry-go-round had marvelous wooden creatures for the children to ride on. There were white horses and lions and tigers with mermaids with fish tails and fearsome dragons with red tongues sticking out of their mouths. Now for clever trick number 3, thought the enormous crocodile, licking his lips. When no one was looking, he crept upon the merry-go-round and put himself between a wooden lion and a fearsome dragon. He sat up a bit on his back legs and he kept very still. He looked around like a wooden crocodile on the beautiful merry-go-round. I am going to ride on a dragon, cried a boy. I am going on a lovely white horse, cried another. I am going on a beautiful lion, which is too scary. Ooh, cried the third one. And one little girl, whose name was Jill, said, I am going to ride on the funny old wooden crocodile, which she thought was a wooden crocodile. Yummy yum, the enormous crocodile thought. I will gulp her easily in one gulp. Suddenly there was a swish and swoosh, and something came whistling, swishing and swooshing out of the sky. It was the roly-poly bird. He flew around and around the merry-go-round, singing, Look out, Jill, look out, don't tread on that crocodile. Jill stopped and looked up. That's not a wooden crocodile, sang the roly-poly bird. It's a real one. It's the enormous crocodile from the river, and he wants to eat you all up in one gulp. Jill turned and ran. So did all the other children. Even the man who was working at the merry-go-round jumped off it and ran away as fast as he could. The enormous crocodile cursed them and waddled back into the bushes to hide. I am so hungry now, he said to himself. I could eat 6 fat little children before I am full up. Just outside the town there was a pretty little field with trees and bushes and trees and flowers all around. It was called the picnic place. There were several wooden tables and very long benches, and people were allowed to go there and have a nice picnic at any time. The enormous crocodile crept over to the picnic place. There was no one in its long sight. Now for clever trick number 4, he whispered to himself. He picked up a lovely bunch of flowers and arranged it on one of the tables. From the same table, he took away one of the benches and hid it in the bushes. Then he put himself in the places where the bench had been, by tucking his head under his chest and by twisting his tail out of the sight. He made himself look very like the long wooden bench with 4 fingers. Soon, 2 little boys and 2 little girls came along carrying baskets of food. They were all from one family, and their mother had said they could go out and have a picnic together. Which table shall we sit on? Let's take the table with the lovely flowers on it, said another. The enormous crocodile kept as quiet as mouse. I shall eat them all, he said to himself. They will come and sit on my back and I will swizzle my head around quickly, and after that I will squish, crunch, oh, nom 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 nom. Suddenly a big, deep voice came from jungle, shouted, Stand back, children! Stand back! Stand back! The children stopped and stared at the place where the voice was coming from. Then, with a crashing of branches, Trunky the elephant came rushing out of the jungle. That's not the bench you were going to sit on it, he bellowed. It's the enormous crocodile and he wants to eat you all up in one gulp. Trunky trotted over to the spot where the enormous crocodile was standing, and as quick as flash, he wrapped his trunk around the crocodile's tail and hoisted him up into the air. Hey, let me go! Let me go! Yelled the enormous crocodile, who was now dangling upside down. Let me go! Let me go! No! Trunky said, I will not let you go. We all have had quite enough of your clever little tricks. Then Trunky began to swing the crocodile round and round in air. At first, he swung him slowly, then he swung him faster and faster and faster and faster still. Soon the enormous crocodile was just a blurry circle going round and round the Trunky's head. Suddenly, Trunky let go of Crocodile's tail and the crocodile went shooting high up into the sky like a huge, green, ugly rocket. Up and up he went, higher and higher, fast. He was going up so fast and so high that soon the earth was just a tiny dot miles and miles below. He was